Decentralized finance proponents have taken to Twitter to criticize Sam Bankman-Fried after the FTX CEO shared an industry norms manual that suggested websites facilitating trading on decentralized exchanges should be regulated. Bankman-Fried's suggestion of regulation for tools enabling retail traders to access DeFi protocols triggered horror among those who argue apps like Uniswap are simply software, not a legal entity that can be censored. To DeFi proponents, these decentralized exchanges, DEXs, are different beasts to the classic central counterparties required in traditional finance. They exist purely as code allowing individuals to trade with one another. If you host a website that makes it easy for US retail to connect to and trade on a DEX, you would likely have to register it as something like a broker-dealer/FCM/etc. You would also potentially have KYC, Know Your Customer, obligations, Bankman-Fried wrote on Wednesday. At the same time, the crypto exchange executive said it's extremely important that on-chain code and DeFi remain free and open and uncensored. One particularly loud voice is that of ScupyTruples, the pseudonymous founder of DeFi protocol Alchemix, who tweeted a list of unsubstantiated complaints against Bankman-Fried. I see them using the playbook of large corporations, where they ascend to the top, and then get involved in lobbying to make rules favorable for them to hurt the competition, and ultimately cement their position there, ScupyTruples told the block in separate comments. No different from Amazon, ExxonMobil, Goldman, etc. He's been on the record that he doesn't care about crypto, and is only here for the money, they continued. It's plainly obvious to see he is not a good actor in this space. Anthony Sassano, a well-known independent Ethereum educator, also criticized the FTX CEO, who is often known by his initials. SBF is and always will be a cancer on this ecosystem, he wrote to his 225,000 Twitter followers. Anyone supporting him and his cronies should be ashamed. Sassano's statements came in response to Scott Lewis, the founder of DeFi Pulse and other projects, who has also been critical of Bankman-Fried. SBF trying to get a bad law passed, Lewis stated on Twitter. Now is the time to get loud and fight. Specifically, he suggested boycotting both FTX and crypto media on Sam's payroll, as well as delisting FTX users from airdrops. The list of high-profile crypto-related accounts on Twitter sharing similarly negative sentiments is long, while those defending Bankman-Fried's proposal are few and far between. Those coming to Bankman-Fried's defense tended to cite the belief that regulation in the crypto industry is an inevitability. Better to have a dialogue about it than to pretend that crypto is immune to regulation or ought not be regulated, shared one account, which Bankman-Fried retweeted. Others argue that the FTX CEO's proposed regulations are a necessity to onboard more institutions into crypto. Unpopular opinion, I am intimately familiar with conversations happening with lawyers at public companies who want to get into crypto, noted one account. Without sharing specifics, they continued, SBF is right. People might not appreciate that now, but they will in the future. Bankman-Fried himself, meanwhile, noted that he is open to the idea that he is wrong. Sam Bankman-Fried's crypto exchange, FTX Trading Limited, is incorporated in Antigua and Barbuda. Its subsidiary, FTX Digital Markets Limited, is licensed under the Bahamas Digital Assets and Registered Exchange Act, 2020. As such, it is regulated by the Securities Commission of the Bahamas. Bankman-Fried has donated large sums to U.S. politicians and has testified before the U.S. House Committee on Agriculture. Critics argue that Bankman-Fried's money and energy are being spent to benefit his own company, as opposed to the wider industry. However, FTX is facing legal scrutiny from U.S. regulators regarding its adherence to financial laws. Specifically, an investigation by Texas regulators may affect the exchange's proposed purchase of bankrupt crypto lender Voyager's assets. In a blog post, Bankman-Fried, the head of centralized crypto exchange FTX, suggested building regulatory compliance into DeFi protocols themselves. Such a move, which is common in self-regulatory market organizations such as FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, can be costly and painstaking processes that take years to implement. More poignantly, such a regime is bound to offend DeFi supporters who shun the idea of centralized oversight. Several prominent crypto-focused accounts on Twitter speculated that bankman-fried is secretly lobbying for the bill's passage. FTX is spending money to push a law through Congress that may force DeFi protocols to operate like centralized exchanges, Scott, the anonymous founder of DeFi Pulse, tweeted. The proposal is called the Digital Commodities Consumer Protection Act. A better name would be the Digital Commodities FTX Protection Act. Coupled with his self-regulatory stance, the rumors have turned bankman-fried into an object of scorn in Web3. SBF is blatantly trying to kill DeFi and decentralization in general, Zephyr, of NFT marketplace Sudoswap, tweeted. SBF, FTX, and Alameda have repeatedly demonstrated that their sole purpose is to extract as much value as possible out of crypto with zero regard for its development. Bankman-Fried conceded that his suggestions were only meant to jumpstart discussion, and may have been poorly worded. Keeping DeFi and peer-to-peer transfers free is crucial. There are policies I honestly think are key to achieving that. I could be wrong about those policies. I probably am wrong about some. He wrote. Allowing for the ability for DeFi to ultimately interface with regulated entities, when phrased poorly, could be read to imply a me too. And to be clear, I don't think it should mean too. A representative of FTX did not respond immediately to a request for comment. Nevertheless, lawmakers must understand how strong the opposition to the last published draft of the DEFI has been within the DeFi community, and why, Chervinsky wrote on Twitter Wednesday. That draft bill states that trading facilities shall provide a centralized market for executing transactions, Chervinsky noted. What does that mean for DeFi protocols? Wallets? Apps? Users? Unclear. The bill defined digital commodity dealer as a person that makes a market in a digital commodity. Does that mean every liquidity provider in an AMM DEX protocol has to register with the CFTC? That just can't be, Chervinsky wrote. It was unclear how much of this language had changed in the version of the bill leaked by Shapiro. But several crypto organizations came out in opposition over the week, including Alliance, a training program for Web3 founders. According to Alliance, the bill forces human intermediation, forces projects to sacrifice decentralization and, ultimately, kills DeFi. The bill doesn't specifically mention DeFi, Alliance wrote in a widely cited Twitter thread. But it would likely result in DeFi projects being classified as digital commodity platforms and decentralized exchanges, such as Uniswap, as trading facilities. The rules that apply to platforms and facilities assume, and in fact require, human activity at the center of the project, effectively banning decentralization and therefore DeFi, Alliance wrote. For example, the bill would require that every decentralized exchange have emergency powers that provide for the authority to liquidate or transfer positions, as well as to suspend trading in a particular digital commodity, in consultation or cooperation with the CFTC. Alliance continued, the bill creates a compliance architecture that precludes the concept of a system of smart contracts operating decentralized infrastructure with little or no reliance on human activity. Alliance warned the bill could be passed as part of an end-of-year omnibus legislation. As for bankman-fried's blog post, he positioned it as an industry norms manual, or set of standards governing best practices. It is a time-honored approach in traditional finance, but is alien to the grassroots ethos of DeFi. Ideally, some industry group would mull over these topics, revise them, and publish what they feel to be an appropriate set of community norms. He wrote. Perhaps most controversially, The blog calls for blocklists that would prohibit transfers and freeze funds associated with financial crimes. There should be an on-chain list of the sanctioned addresses, updated in real time, maintained either by OFAC or by a responsible actor, Bankman-Fried wrote, referring to the U.S. regulatory agency that placed Privacy Protocol Tornado Hash on a list of sanctioned entities in August. Then both centralized and decentralized applications can query, in real time, the list of sanctioned addresses to avoid transferring funds to or accepting funds from those addresses.